What's up, tea people? It's Danny.
And this is James from TeaDB.org.
Yeah.
We are bringing you some raw pu'erh from Wangong in Yunnan. It's from 2011. It has been dry stored in Asia. So let's give this a try.
Cool.
Really nice leaf quality.
Yeah, look at these big leaves.
Don't say so myself.
Lots of sticks. Stemmy. And then some big old leaves.
So Wangong is located at the very east end of Mengla County, which is kind of the greater Iwu area over there. So we've had a number of teas from around that area. I'm not sure if we brought an actual tea from this village on or not, but
Yum yum. And when we're talking about this sort of thing, James, and talking about areas, not that our true diehard fans who we only care about everyone else, whatever. Just kidding. When you're talking about that, some folks might know what that means. Wow. I'm serious, kind of tobacco-y vibe, leather, really earthy, and then like a hint of like raspberry fruit roll-ups.
yeah, there's a hint of sort of like a berry-like sweetness in there.
Yeah, interesting. But regions, you know. So maybe some people are like, well, yeah, if it's from China, it's going to taste different than if it's from Japan. But you just specified down to the village. So
I mean,
so
part of it is out
Right.
of just like sheer necessity. The
Right.
fact is that like without the village or the name that's been presented to me for this tea, I'm just like, this is a 2011 tea from Yunnan,
Exactly.
so it's just
yeah. So
very ambiguous.
yeah. So part of the geological labeling is just to be specific about the actual tea itself.
Yeah. And then, I mean, some people, and there's a lot of disagreement on the second point, is like, how much value do you put into like a very specific geographic categorization into like a certain village or something
Right.
like that? Well, this village tastes very different from the village next to it.
Right.
I don't necessarily have a great answer for that, but some people will believe very strongly that there's a really distinctive taste for this specific village or something like that.
Yeah. The truth is it probably just depends on the tea in each village in each specific case. There's probably no general rule for it. So.
Exactly. So I think Denny and I tend to treat things on sort of more of a case-by-case basis rather than being like, these are characteristics.
Exactly. You're not
of this
going to
village.
decide a tea is good until you tasted it, and it doesn't matter what village it's from.
Exactly.
It might be an indicator, a leading indicator of quality, but it might not be as well. And it doesn't. At the end of the day, it's about you, the tea in front of you, enjoying this little beverage.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, look at this. Oh my goodness. And
You
also
know,
look
some
at
tea
the
in front of
oiliness of these. Holy crap. I can like see my reflection in there. Alright. How old is this?
2011.
Yeah.
Would you guess younger or older? Basically?
It smells young-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, 2011 is still 6 years, but
Mhm.
it also just looks young.
Yeah.
In
Pretty strong aroma
Light
coming from it.
green.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And yeah, I'm not getting the berry quite as much now, but we're gonna see if it comes up in the cup.
Yeah.
Always fun to drink.
And
Let's
let's
give it a shot.
go for it.
Cheers. And these raw pu'erhs just blow my mind, especially from the sort of general Iwu region. It's just so sweet. It's unlike. I think if I had started drinking these teas thinking this was what raw pu'erh was like, I would be like really confused. So this is not. I mean, it is raw pu'erh. It is so raw pu'erh, and yet at the same time, this is not what you're gonna usually get out of a 6-year-old pu'erh.
Yeah, I mean, it depends a lot. I mean, obviously, if we're specifying down to the supposed village of the tea, then obviously the production is very, very small. So this is certainly not any man's raw pu'erh or every man's raw pu'erh,
What do you think of this stuff? I think it's really great. I think it has like a really almost a grassy green verdant oolong thing going on, but all those sort of deeper Pu'erh vibes.
Yeah, I think it has a great depth to the taste. I think you can really taste this tea just going all the way down into the body. Good taste in the throat. Yeah. So and at the same point, this is the first tea, and this is a raw pour.
Yeah.
So this is just opening up, guys.
Totally. Let's keep going.
Cheers.
Cheers. Just like the texture and body doubled, the sweetness increased. And it has that wonderful, like it's so sweet and yet it has this really wonderful earthiness from that the sort of more peaty raw Pu'erh flavors that just as a coupling to me just is so pleasant. I think I wasn't originally really a big fan of raw Pu'erh. Like we'd have some older stuff and I'd be like, oh, this is good. But my tastes are really kind of developed and I really now enjoy these flavors and them together as well.
What about this tea? What do you think that if you had this tea early, it would have been accessible to you, or do you think you're sort of appreciating it in a different manner now?
Well, absolutely appreciating it differently now. I think this tea is one of the more accessible, not just this region of tea, I'd say. This one has a little bit of some, not bitterness, but definitely a little kick.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's definitely not as accessible, even how sweet this is, as like those black teas that we've been having or anything like that, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. Once I started tasting those sweeter raw Pu'erh flavors, I started really enjoying them, and then having them older and having that character added to it, and then realizing, okay, there are even nice parts of the sort of bullet in the face-ness of a young raw Pu'erh as well.
Yeah.
So I've learned to enjoy all the different aspects of it. But yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite types of raw Pu'erh.
Yeah.
So let's keep drinking.
Cheers, guys.
Third.
And this one might be the strongest of the three. Sort of has like a brown sugariness to it too. I'd say the tea is a little bit less sweet when you immediately have it, but like as Denny talked about, sort of like that really strong, enduring sweetness.
Yeah.
Those are the flavors that really last.
Yeah, it's definitely more astringent and more bitter now. And so from a sort of sensory perspective, it's really occupying your sort of mouth feels, basically. The feelings in your mouth are the loudest part of the tea. And the leaves are freaking enormous.
They are.
Yeah.
You can tell that they were picked with good care.
Right.
This brew also looks like it will be on the strong end.
And you got this in a cake, right?
I got a piece of a cake here.
But yeah, but when I noticed you removing the chunks, they came apart easily.
Yeah.
What does that say about the storage for folks out there?
Yeah, very loosely compressed. I think it may actually say more about how the tea was originally pressed when it was made. Just that it wasn't compressed into like super tightly into like an iron bing or something like that. This is very much a sort of boutique sort of situation rather than like a factory pour where you're just pressing like crazy or something like that. So I don't know that it was stone pressed. It probably was. It would be my guess, which tends to be a little bit lighter.
Yeah, that will influence the aging of it, just by virtue of having there be more surface area that stuff can get exposed to and just move around more freely. I wouldn't say though that this tastes particularly old.
I agree. I think the storage of it, I think it's pretty clear that the storage is not on the humid side. It's pretty dry. and I don't know a whole lot about the storage situation, but like just from us tasting this right here, I think it's.
And we drank that rinse, right?
No, I did rinse it.
Oh, okay.
You probably could drink the rinse, but it's raw pu'erh. We're gonna get a lot of steeps out of this guy anyways.
Yeah.
And we are doing a tea show, so.
Indeed. Salud. Mas. Cheers. I don't want to say it's like, yeah, it's just like really peaty now. The sweetness is sort of lingering, but I think like the strength of this tea is now that sort of like peaty, earthy pu'erh, you know. And I think now we're sort of tasting this, or at least those sort of tastes for me feel a little bit like it still has some aging to go through.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Denny. Some of the more raw characteristics of the tea, for lack of a better term, are coming. I would not quite call it like smoky or anything like that,
Right.
But yeah.
There's hints of that sort of that sort of thing. Like it's not quite earthy either. It's not quite smoky. It's not really minerally. It's kind of like that, just sort of peaty. Yeah. Wow. I'm not getting any of those like subtle fruit notes we sort of smelled initially. God, those leaves are beautiful.
They really are. And you can pull out some of those and just see how big and sort of the plucking standard. Yeah, that's huge. It's a big leaf.
Yeah. So James, for these sorts of teas, we're gonna get a lot of steepings out of this kind of a tea.
Yeah.
Do you judge these kinds of teas as a result of the number of steepings that you get out of it? Does that say anything about the quality of it per se?
You know, it's one factor of many, I think. And, you know, some people may have a tea that gives like really nice infusions but only lasts for 7 or 8 steeps, and that might actually be an asset for someone that's like brewing at work or something like that. But yeah, I mean, in general, I think if a tea steeps for a while, it's a sign of some quality. And I do agree that this tea will probably continue to go on for maybe 13, 14 steeps,
right,
depending on how you're brewing it and sort of the strength that you're looking for.
Totally, yeah. And you maybe take some time away from the cup to come back to it, so you're a little bit desensitized to it, because you definitely can develop that sort of just like pu'erh.
Yeah, pu'erh as a drug sort of feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I think for folks out there looking to kind of judge this too, for other teas, you're going to expect like a 20% longevity bonus there. So for a black tea, that might only mean an extra 1 steeping, and for a raw pu'erh, it might mean an extra 3.
Yeah.
Right. So it'll vary tea by tea. You shouldn't expect a black tea to be higher quality and therefore steep for an extra 3 steepings. That's my point.
Yeah, that's true as well. Let me also ask you about the energy of this. Are you getting any energy from this brew?
I'd say that overall, yeah. It's such a powerful flavor profile that it's pretty alerting.
Yeah.
You just like, you can't really drink this tea and not notice it, and so that alone is going to, not in a bad way at all, that alone is going to just kind of lift you up a little bit. But I'm not racing or anything like that. I'm not jaw clenching either or anything like that. So I would say that this is sort of a middle road. Definitely energizing, absolutely. But I'm also not like ready to go run a marathon.
Yeah.
I'm not usually ever ready to go run a marathon.
Yeah. So if we ever come across a tea that we know exactly really special,
seriously.
Yeah. I think this one's more of a triathlon.
Oh man. All right. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Is this our 6th steeping?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It is.
And I think that the biggest thing that I'm noticing is that the sort of really intense oomph of that raw flavors dying off a little bit. We're losing a little bit of texture as well. Not necessarily a bad thing, but in like a little bit of viscosity.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of that rawness sort of peaked on like steep 3 or 4, I would say, and it's been falling off. So it's actually, in my opinion, a little bit more drinkable now. I think the initial infusions and these infusions are a little bit lighter than those, which actually might help. Yeah. Yeah,
I agree. So for folks out there who wanted to mitigate that more intense third steeping that was maybe a little bit bitter, what could they do at home to help with that?
You know, they could just steep it a little bit quicker than I did.
Right.
They could also use less leaf initially, and in preparation for those brews, and maybe at this point when it dies down a little bit, they could add a little more if they wanted. So those are a couple pretty simple, easy ways to sort of tone down the brew.
Totally.
Nothing.
Experiment at home, figure it out for yourself. It's the best way to do it. This is going to depend so much on your preferences and your taste when you're drinking these sorts of brews. And let's do one more.
Okay. Yes.
Why not?
So the water is a little bit cooler, so I'm going to try to hit it a little bit harder there.
Okay.
We'll let this go for a hot sec.
Great. And again, just back to this idea of experimentation and to sort of, you only have so many variables. It's not the super complex. And there's plenty of wiggle room there to mess some stuff up. So if you want to use a little bit colder water, heat it or soak it for a little bit longer.
Yeah. And also take note to the contrast of like this tea versus the black tea we did last episode, and just like the difference of the genres. It's like we're talking about this tea slowly slowing down at like steep 6 or 7.
Sure.
And that black tea would have been probably
done.
Lucky if it went to 6 or 7.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, very different teas, and treat them accordingly. And there are some black teas that really brew out like an oolong tea or almost like a pu'erh tea, but in general, these rules are going to help.
Yeah. And
hopefully you have enough tea that you can brew a few times and experiment and see how to make it the best way possible.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. I'm
still has some bite to it, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I'm wanting those little raspberry notes, and I'm not quite getting them. I'm wondering if those are going to develop later on in this sort of the career of this tea.
There's a little bit of creaminess to this tea that I enjoy. That is kind of an odd sort of companion to sort of like the raw or pine woods notes that you get from it.
Yeah, I think this tea has a lot of space to develop. I think it's really sweet and young, or sweet and delicious tasting to start. Gets intense. Brew accordingly. I think this tea might not pass the mom test after steeping 3.
Yeah, probably not. Maybe certain moms would like it. I think it probably is in general an acquired taste. I think this tea has a lot of really great attributes that are not easy to come by in raw pu'erh.
Absolutely.
Really nice aftertaste. I can personally taste it sort of in my chest body area, so sort of feeling the presence of the tea there.
Yeah, I think it's early on in its career, like I was just saying. Really great quality leaf. Storage seems really good too. So I think this is the kind of tea that you want to grab. You can drink it now. You can also hold on to it. It's probably going to develop really beautifully and maybe soften in some appropriate ways, and maybe bring out some of those higher notes that we seem to be smelling but we weren't quite tasting, at least for me experience wise. So but I thought it was a yum tea. If folks wanted to grab this, James, where could they do so?
That is a very good question. I was sourced this tea by a friend who has asked to remain anonymous, although he told me that I could bring this tea on the show. I can say that there is a strong likelihood that this will be available in the U.S. or to be shipped in the West soon-ish, but that is all the information I have. So if we get more information, we will release it in the description box. But that is...
subscribe to our YouTube channel where we release secret things that we don't share with anyone else on the internet.
Yeah, it's true. We're going to show you our...
we are super fortunate doing this project to get access to a lot of really yummy teas. So thanks to our anonymous donor out there, as well as all of the folks who have donated tea, your time, energy, whatever to this project. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
If you guys want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, we will not be announcing the anonymous person there, but
Yeah.
you can get weekly videos there. TeaDB.org is our website. Subscribe to all the right things there as well. Sign up for the newsletter, do the Instagram, blah blah, like our stuff. And we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.